What is going on, YouTube? Just in case you didn't know, it's JustInCaseD here, and I'm coming at you as the head of your Tampa Bay Rays this season to bring you what was formerly the Pokemon World Championship, but we are no longer called the Pokemon World Championship. We are now the not-so-coincidentally named Pokemon Was Competitive Season 8. So we are still PWC, but we are now coming at you with a brand spanking new name that is not so coincidental. So anyways, let's get into some little baselines of how this draft works. It's very similar to last time. A lot of the old rules are still in effect this season. 11 mons per team. You must draft a Mega for your team. You have to fill every tier requirements 1 through 5. Cannot exceed your free point total. You can franchise optionally 1 mon you used from last season at the cost of 3 points. 40 for a tier 1 or tier 2, and 20 for tier 3 or lower, and you can't franchise the same mon you used the season prior. For me, that would be Shaman, because if anyone recalls from my last draft analysis, I did franchise tag Shaman, so I would not be able to franchise it. But we'll get into what I did franchise and what is going to be coming later, as we do have some brand freaking new rules. So we do have some new rules in effect this season as far as the draft. You do not have to turn 1 Mega Evolve this season, so which means mons like Sharpedo can abuse its speed boost ability, making it a whole lot better. Charizard can play Mind Games, whether or not it has to wants to Mega Evolve that turn to avoid Earthquake, or a Rock move, or something of that nature. We have split tiering, so now there are different point values in between each tier. So for example, tier 1 is now divided into tier 1A and tier 1B. Tier 1As are worth 180 points still, but tier 1Bs are worth 160. So there is some split tiering point mind games, or not mind games, but some different strategies you can choose for how you draft your team. So there's more, I guess, strategy now involved in the draft. And then there were some tier changes, obviously, along with these new tiering rules. So and with the addition of the new Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon beasts. So we have now those are now into the. They're new to this season, so we're gonna see how well they play out this season. And anyways, jumping into where I fell in the draft order, I am right here at number 6. So right smack dab in the middle. So it's not the greatest place in the world to be in the draft, but it's not the worst place either. It's like you're always gonna have the same wait time regardless of where your pick comes around, I guess. So it's not my fit. It's probably my least favorite place to be in the draft, but oh well. We work with it. So anyways, let's jump in to see what I am rocking with this season. Alright, we are here and we are now with our draft, web is what I like to call this. What it is basically I like to help to do this to show where the synergy is with my team, what was my thought process when drafting my team, and how it all kind of sticks together as a whole. So anyways, let's go into the franchise tag of what I got this season to kick things off. I decided to franchise a powerhouse from last season, something extremely powerful that I think will be very useful this season, as I really love using this mon, and it's Kyurem Black. Super powerful, bulky, very bulky. It's got a nice HP stat with base 100 defense and 90 def is not bad at all, despite being an ice type. Immense amount of offensive coverage. This thing's got a lot going for it offensively. It's a really good mixed attacker, has reliable recovery and roost, and is a really good Z-Mon candidate. KB has got it all in one package as an offensive threat. So I'm really familiar with KB. I really enjoy using this mon, and I think it's going to do really well once again this season. So that's our franchise tag going into it. Now let's see what we go into round 1, what I'm going to pair up with this powerhouse in KB. And there were some good options on the board. I considered some of the more offensive threats this season. I considered Mega Lopunny. I considered a couple other good offensive threats, but I wanted something I had not used yet in this league. Something that was just banned recently from PWC. And you know what? I decided to take it, because when else am I going to pair Kyurem Black with the monster that is Hoopa Unbound ever again? Because usually we'll never go in the same round. So Hoopa U, let's go into what I like about Hoopa U so much. It's an extremely scary mixed attacker. 160 base attack, 170 base special attack is terrifying to go up against it offensively. Super deep move pool. It really just, it's got it all offensively. I really like how offensive Hoopa U is, and especially paired with KB. They're just such two massive scary threats individually you have to prepare for. That's annoying, but together, that's gonna be really hellish, I think, in my opinion. So I'm liking how this scary this team looks already with the powerhouses. It's a really good bulky dark type. I value bulky dark types a lot since I don't want to draft the mistake that is a Alolan Trash Can. Yeah, I don't want to draft that piece of crap again. Okay, it's got good Spadef as well. Decent speed tier. It's potential Trick Room user and abuser. It can set it up and abuse it as well if it wants to. And it's, like I said, Suburb Zmon with all its coverage. This and KB are going to be my Z captains this season because they are incredibly powerful. They are incredibly scary on their own. Although it will cost me a third Z captain because you only can have 2 tier 1 Z captains if you're going tier 1s. Or you can go 1 tier 1 and 2 tier 3 or 2 tiers or lower. I think these two are the best choices for Zmons on my team as they're just extremely powerhouses, and to not have one as a Zmon would make it more predictable, I guess. So I want to make my team as unpredictable as possible with these two. So I think both of them as Zmons is an incredibly good call for me personally. I think it's really good. But there are some cons to picking with Hoopa U, mainly being, starting off with its poor physical defense stat. Hoopa has base 60, which is not the greatest. Very weak defense for that something like that powerful. Middle of the pack speed tier, like I said, base 80 is alright, but it's not fast enough to really be super good with Choice Scarf, but it's also not slow enough to be the best Trick Room user in the world, but it can catch people off guard, which is what I like. 4 times weakness to Bug makes it weak to U-turn specifically, which is really bad for momentum. And it has a shared fairy weakness with KB. So this is what I'm looking to patch up in the picks to come. This is how I need to support my team. So these are the things I gotta keep in mind when I'm building my team to make sure I patch up these holes. So that's what I'm thinking going into round 2. So I decided for round 2 I wanted to make sure I got my Mega. I'm surprised this Mega wasn't sniped because I knew there was one other coach that was looking at this Mega, and I'm surprised he didn't take it from me personally. But either way, I'm very happy to announce that I got a very bulky powerhouse in Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur, the typing really pairs well with KB and Hoopa. It's a poison type which resists the fairies that KB and Hoopa do not like to see, and can take them out. Thick Fat Grass type also is just stupid bulky. It's got reliable coverage in Synthesis and Leech Seed, really good utility move pool and offensive move pool. Resists also fighting for KB, which is nice. It's just a really good Mega. I haven't used this Pokemon in a long time. I think ever since like my first draft league, I haven't used Mega Venusaur in a long time. So I'm excited to use this mon again. I was very inexperienced the first time I had it, so now I want to see, with all the knowledge I've had since then, how I can make this mon work, what I can do with Venu. So I'm very excited to use this mon. So I'm very happy I got Mega Venu. It pairs really well with my first 2 picks, or franchise plus first round pick. So this is kind of like the Holy Trinity triangle that we're building around this season. These 3 mons are going to be what we have to build the team around. So I like this. It's very great as a starting triangle itself. So let's see how we go into with the 3rd round pick. Round 3 pick, I don't think anyone should be surprised by this. I got my favorite boy in Arcanine. Arcanine's got a really, it's just my favorite fire type, period. It's bulky, reliable recovery, Intimidate, just makes it just so good defensively. It's such a great defensive pivot. I love this thing. Can even be offensive with mixed coverage. Can be Fire Blast, gets base 100 and special attack, or Flare Blitz, base 110 attack, uninvested. Still does a lot, which is great. Has really good coverage, close combat, bulldoze, Flare Blitz, Fire Blast. It's got utility in Will-O-Wisp, can be toxic, can roar. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. 3 viable abilities, because also can be Flash Fire and Justified. So if you want to take a knockoff, get that +1 on run offensive Arcanine, I could do it. It's possible. So I really like Arcanine for that reason. I always go for this thing in the early rounds before anybody else. So, yep, I got Arcanine. Now, there are some cons to this team I'm already starting to notice early on. Right now, the main issue is speed tiering. My speed tiers are pretty all at the same place. KB and Arc are base 95, and Hoopa U and Venu are at base 80. So, I need to start spreading out speed tiers at this point. I also need to start getting hazard setters because I don't have any at this point, and I need a bug resist for Hoopa. So right now, Arcanine is my only bug resist right now, but I want to make sure I have another one so Arcanine doesn't get overwhelmed always. So, now, I'm going to jump into my round 4 pick and pick up Cobalion. Cobalion has a solid speed tier at base 108. It's a hazard setter, it can set up stealth rocks, it can be an anti-lead, it can taunt. 4 times bug resist really helps out Hoopa. And if I'm worried about momentum, we get something using U-turn on this thing regardless, I can full switch with this thing so I can get that momentum back. It's knockoff deterrent because it's justified. And it can be a mixed attacker. It's got base 90s on both sides with decent coverage for both ways as well. It can be set up sweep with Rock Polish or Swords Dance, so this thing's got kind of versatility. I like Cobalion. I've used it once before, and I really enjoyed using it when I had it. So Cobalion, I'm looking forward to using again. Yeah, and I think it fits this team very well. However, with Cobalion, I had to sacrifice a Mon I wanted, but unfortunately got sniped from me because I had to make a choice whether I wanted this or that Mon. So I wanted Primarina as my fairy type. Unfortunately, it got sniped from me, and very disappointed that it got did, but either way, I had to start looking at fairy types, and I started looking around, and I found one that I have never used before, because before USUM it was really bad, but now the addition of a certain move, this Mon is very good. So I decided to go ahead and grab Ribombee. Obviously, you can tell the one thing that makes it really good is the sticky webs. Really nice for this team, especially with KB and Hoopa U. With webs up, they can be threatening as heck because that means they just outspeed whatever the one comes in to check them. So that's really good for them. Really high speed tier to spread out the tiers of base 124. So now I have a really good range of speed tiers in the upper up. So that really helps me out there. It's a setup sweep potentially with Quiver Dance, and then 2 viable abilities. One is Shield Dust to prevent additional effects from happening, such as Skull Burns, and the other prevents Ribombee from being put to sleep. So, it has 2 viable abilities, so it's kind of versatile. It's a little bit one-dimensional in some ways, but either way, I value it because of Sticky Webs and a speed tier. So, yeah, Ribombee I think will do very well on this team this season. I'm excited to use it, and we'll see how well it does. Jumping into round 6, I wanted a powerhouse, particularly one of 2 powerhouses. I was deciding between Nidoking and Nidoqueen for my bulk ground type, and also another offensive poison type. They both did the same job pretty well. I was leaning more towards Nidoqueen because of its bulk to be a little bit better on this team, but unfortunately Nidoqueen did get sniped, but it wasn't too huge an issue because I still got the power in Nidoking. Very powerful wall breaker, can be a mixed attacker with sheer force. It's although it's more leaning towards the special end, it still can run it. Ground type to block Volt Switch mainly, so I had that. It's also an offensive poison type, which means I don't have to depend on Venusaur to be offensively poisoned if the matchup depends on it, so I can run Nidoking as the offensive poison and have Venu purely rely on being defensive if I wanted to. I can still run offensive Venu, don't get me wrong. And Nidoking just makes the job more potentially easier on me, so I don't have to overload Venu. It also gets hazards and rocks, but mainly T-Spikes. This is what I want a Nidoqueen for more so because bulky T-Spikes could really support this team, but either way, regardless, Nidoking's still offensively threatening and packs T-Spikes, so that's what really stands out to me. I really like this potential with this team, so yeah, I think Nidoking's going to do very well. I've never used it before, but I've seen it put in very good use on other teams in the past, so yeah, I'm really excited to use Nidoking, and we'll see how well this Mon does. Alright, going into round 7, this was a Mon I knew I wanted from the get-go, along with Venu, KB, and Hoopa. I knew that I wanted this one. Even before the other 3 got, one of the other first 3 got sniped, I knew I wanted this Mon on my team. I haven't used this Mon in a long time, but I love using this Pokemon. It's really underrated. I love it so much, and that is going to be Xatu. I love this thing. I love Xatu. It's one of my favorite low-tier Mons. It's got Hazard Control and Magic Bounce. It's got reliable recovery in Roost and Wish, which it can use Wish Passing plus the U-turn for momentum to get out into the Mon it wants. It can set up Trick Room. It's a ground immunity, which my team doesn't have already. A Psychic Resist that's not Hoopa U, so I don't have to use Hoopa U always for my switching from Mega Venu in case it gets predicted and knocked out with a bug move or something like that nature. Here's the thing with Xatu now that makes it invaluable. Now in Gen 7 with the USUM move tiers, it gets both Magic Bounce and Defog. Before, Xatu was really of a one-trick pony. If you could get the rocks up without Xatu being in, Xatu couldn't remove them, so Xatu's job was basically worthless if you couldn't stop the rocks. So now that Xatu gets Magic Bounce and Defog, this thing is freaking awesome hazard control. Really good hazard control. Like, I enjoyed Mega Sableye with Magic Bounce last season, but I always had to worry about if Sable didn't stay in to block hazards so they can get him up regardless. Now I can use this to keep, not only just try to deter hazards from it being there, but even if they somehow do manage to get him up, I can still remove him. So Xatu is incredibly good. If I didn't want this one so badly from planning, I would have put it on the ballot for tier 4, honestly. But I wanted this Mon so badly, then I wanted to get it on the low. So I'm really glad I got Xatu. I love this thing. I know what this thing does really well, and I'm looking forward to using it on my team. So, yep. Anyways, enough of Xatu now. jumping into round 8, I need to make sure I got my bulky water. Pretty much every other team had gotten their bulky water at this point, so I wasn't worried about this mon getting sniped from me. So I'm glad I got it just to, like, this late in the draft, but still didn't want to risk it in, like, the later picks. So I got the boy in Jellicent. Jellicent's nice bulky water. It's got reliable recovery. It's a ghost type, which I really liked. It has the ability to spin block hazards, so that means Rabombi, Sticky Webs, or Nidoking, T-Spikes, or Stealth Rocks will stay up on the field. It can be an anti-lead with Taunt. It can Trick Room, which is nice. I was debating between this and Kofag, but Kofag is too expensive personally, and I like that Jellicent was A, bulky water, B, could Taunt, and had decent speed tier, so I really like Jellicent. I think it's going to do very well this season. I've used it before in the past. It's a good mon. So yeah, Jellicent's going to do well, I think. So jumping in now to the round 9 pick. This was started where I had to pick up someone in the late game where I was thinking with the draft really hard at this point because there were options I could go with that would take my team down different roads, I feel like. Because round 9, I was debating between rock types. Because I needed bird spam at this point switch in. Cobalion's fighting steel, which means it doesn't resist flying spam, so I needed a bird spam switch in. And there were 2 rock types I was debating here. Tyrantrum and Diancie. Both had their perks. Tyrantrum's more offensive. It fits. I like offensive mons particularly. A Dragon Dance Sweeper. It can do a lot of really heavy wall breaking, and it's a decent defense stat. But the problem is that Tyrantrum, it has basically no SPDEF. It's pretty much always going to be offensive. It's not really a reliable rock setter because you want to be running it offensive regardless. And I didn't have like overall reliable rock setters, so I had mons that wanted to do stuff other than being setup rocks. So even though they could do it in theory if I wanted them to, a lot of times there will be times I really don't want to run either Nidoking or Cobalion to be running rocks. So Tyrantrum also doesn't fit that theme. Diancie, on the other hand, is a bulkier fairy type. It can set up rocks more reliably and had bulk on both sides what Tyrantrum couldn't offer. So in the end, I decided to go with Diancie. Like I said, bulky bird spam resist. It's a bulkier fairy type, so I don't have to worry about Rabombi dying to any other potential switch in or coverage move that a dragon might go for in case I'm trying to send it in to resist a dragon move. So Diancie kind of gives me that extra oomph to my team defensively. It's a Trick Room user, so I have another thing to abuse Trick Room with. And yeah, Diancie just kind of straightforward with that. I've used this mon before. I like using Diancie. Don't have a lot of experience with it, but I still have used it in the past. So we're going to see how well this thing does. It did pretty well last season, so I'm looking forward to seeing how well it does this season. And finally, the last pick of my draft is I knew I needed a normal type, because I needed a ghost immunity for my team. My dark type was also psychic, so it couldn't resist the ghost spam. So I needed a normal type for sure here. There were 2 options I was looking at here, because also the other thing with Diancie was if I took Tyrantrum, I needed to sacrifice a tier 4 point for a tier 5 potentially, and I didn't want to do that. So I was looking at tier 4 normals. And I wanted Miltank originally in my draft plan, but I knew that was not going to get to me, and it did indeed get sniped. So, oh well, we did lose Miltank. So I'm looking at 2 options left on the table. We have Exploud, and we have Kamala. The 2 mons, I'm not too really excited about either of them personally. I've never used either of them. Kamala offers Swish Passing and a physical attacker that can U-turn and Rapid Spin. And Exploud offers Scrappy Boom Burst that essentially has no switch-ins and Mixed Attacker essentially. I wasn't really psyched about either of them. I didn't really like either of them, but the thing is though, in the end, I decided to go with Exploud. I like the Threatening Boom Burst particularly more than Kamala. I think the Mixed Attacker also makes it a little more less one-dimensional than Kamala. If Exploud doesn't perform, I may drop it for Kamala personally in case I ever have problems with hazards. If I don't feel Exploud is performing the way I want it to perform, then maybe I'll drop it. But I think personally that the Boom Burst threat factor and the Mixed Attacker factor will make Exploud more valuable to me personally. Never used this mon. I've seen it used against me, and I've always hated going up against it. So we'll see how Exploud does, and I'm hoping it will perform well for me. So let's see how well this baby does. That's just kind of the gist of it. So that is going to be the end of the draft. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your comments on the team are down below if you have any thoughts about it. PWC link will be down in description. I don't think we're uploading this season on the channel itself, but either way, always have my opponent's channel description when I go up against them in the always down in the description. And battles will be coming up very soon. Week 1 will be against Shiny, and let's hopefully defeat him. Bye bye.